Hey YouTube, how you doing? This is Techxtremist. Welcome to In the Tech News in collaboration with Tech Live channel. We do have this article here from fiercewireless.com. Big three carriers dish apply for 3.45 gigahertz auction. The Federal Communications Commission on Wednesday released a roster of applicants for participation in the next U.S. mid-band spectrum auction. Auction 110 is set to start October 5th, offering up to 4,060 flexible use licenses with 100 megahertz in the 3.45, 3.55 gigahertz range across the contiguous United States. No bidder can win more than 40 megahertz of spectrum. According to the FCC list, 26 applications are completed and 16 remain incomplete for a total of 42 potential bidders. Now, what's glaring in this report, and from another one that lightreading.com also put out, is the glaring omission from the cable companies. The cable companies look like they are not going to participate heavily in this auction. And to me, that's a really significant indicator of what they are thinking. So I made a recent video where I talked about, the year 2022 and what was going to happen. And, the cable companies, at least in my opinion, were set to build their own portions of their own wireless networks in order to reduce cost from the big three. Now, with this type of news, it puts a little bit of doubt on those types of thoughts, right? Because if they're not going to go out and buy more spectrum, that means that they're either not going to do what we were anticipating, or they're going to do it in a very reduced manner, very specific locations, and it's not going to be anything that's going to be even remotely widespread. All right, so we're talking about maybe even in cities and whatnot. Maybe you'll see it in some cities. Maybe you'll see it in some of the more congested areas where they deploy some of their existing spectrum. But obviously, by not going for this type of spectrum, it's a big indicator that they are not going to go big, and they're definitely not going to, do it at even a medium scale. Now, as far as the auction goes, I do anticipate AT&T is going to be the one that gets the most amount of spectrum. And the reason is because they are the ones that need the most. Now, everybody is capped to 40 megahertz, but it's also very possible that Verizon and T-Mobile will not try to go for the full 40 megahertz. They might try to get 20. They might try to, only get, a small amount of it. They might not try to get any at all, or they might, target very specific areas. So I think that this auction is going to be a big indicator of what's going to happen in the future. It's not a very big auction. It's not C-band. So, it's only a fraction of the spectrum. We're talking about 100 megahertz versus 280 megahertz, but it's still significant. A player like AT&T can get 40 megahertz and have the ability to compete better with Verizon and T-Mobile. If T-Mobile comes out and gets 40 megahertz, they're going to really create some separation. And if Verizon gets 40 megahertz, they're going to pretty much even out with T-Mobile, and their N41 holdings. So this is going to be an interesting auction, not because of the amounts, but because of the indicators that are going to be coming because of this auction. Again, I don't anticipate Verizon and T-Mobile going really hard at it. I really think AT&T is going to be the one that's going to really go for those 40 megahertz. There's going to be a bunch of other smaller entities. Dish is probably going to try to get 20 megahertz. I don't anticipate they're going to go for 40 considering their monetary situation, but hey, they might surprise. They might go for 40. Again, whoever gets, or whoever goes all out, that's going to be a big indicator of what that carrier's plans are going to be. Again, no cable companies. That's also big news. That shows you that they might not be as interested in building out a network, at least a medium or small size network as we were anticipating. It might be a very targeted, only very congested areas to maximize those profits and not have to pay the big carriers. But anyway, I really appreciate y'all watching. Hit like, subscribe, comment. Make sure you hit that ring notification bell. You all have a good one.